Two countries, decades of hatred, and then 12 days that changed everything. In June 2025, the world watched something it had never seen before: a full-scale direct military confrontation between Iran and Israel. Not a proxy war, not a shadow operation, a real war. With jets flying over capital cities, ballistic missiles raining down on residential neighborhoods, and nuclear sites crumbling under the weight of bunker-busting bombs. And it was all over in less than 2 weeks. But what actually happened? Who won? What did it prove? And why does it feel like the story isn't finished? In this video, we're breaking it all down. Stick around, because the details of this conflict will genuinely surprise you. Chapter 1. How we got here. To understand this war, you have to understand the slow burn that led to it. For over 4 decades, Iran and Israel have been locked in one of the most dangerous rivalries in modern history. It started after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, when Tehran severed all ties with Israel and declared its destruction a national goal. What followed was decades of proxy wars: Iran funding Hezbollah in Lebanon, backing Hamas in Gaza, arming militias across Syria and Iraq, all while quietly building a nuclear program that kept the entire world on edge. But something shifted after October 7, 2023. Hamas launched its devastating attack on Israel. Iran's entire web of proxy groups got pulled into the fight. And suddenly, the shadow war between Tehran and Tel Aviv wasn't so shadowy anymore. By 2024, the two sides had already exchanged direct fire twice, something that would have been unthinkable just a year earlier. Iran fired its first ever direct missile and drone barrage at Israeli territory in April 2024, and then again in October. Both times, Israeli and American defenses intercepted the vast majority of the incoming weapons, and both times, Israel drew a conclusion that would shape everything that followed. Iran's missile arsenal, despite being massive, was far less effective than the world had feared. One Israeli defense analyst described it bluntly as a toothless tiger. Meanwhile, Iran's allies were getting hammered. Hezbollah, once the most powerful non-state military force in the world, had been significantly weakened by Israeli strikes in late 2024. Syria's Assad regime had collapsed entirely. The entire axis of resistance, Iran's carefully built regional network, was crumbling, and Israel noticed. The window was opening. Chapter 2. Operation Rising Lion. At 3:15 in the morning on June 13, 2025, Tehran shuddered. Over 200 Israeli fighter jets crossed into Iranian airspace simultaneously, striking more than 100 targets in coordinated waves. This was Operation Rising Lion, and it was one of the most complex long-range air operations in military history. Israeli F-35s, F-15, and F-16 flew over 1,000 miles from home, with aerial refueling operations keeping them in the air. The jets flew freely over Iranian skies, including the skies of Tehran itself, without being shot down. Not a single Israeli aircraft was lost. The targets were carefully selected. Nuclear enrichment facilities at Natanz and Isfahan were hit hard. Missile production sites in Tehran were destroyed. The headquarters of Iran's Ministry of Defense was struck. And in the opening minutes of the operation, Israel did something extraordinary. It killed Iran's top military leadership all at once. The head of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces, and the IRGC Air Force commander were all eliminated in the first wave of strikes, along with at least 15 senior nuclear scientists. It wasn't just a military operation. It was a decapitation of the people who ran Iran's most dangerous programs. Israeli intelligence had spent months preparing the ground. Months before the war, Israel had quietly destroyed key components of Iran's S-300 air defense batteries around Isfahan and Tehran. Iranian sensors had been blinded. The IAF had even gradually increased its flight patterns near Iranian airspace, conditioning Iranian radar operators until the activity became routine, white noise. When the real strikes came, Iran didn't know it was happening until it was already happening. Chapter 3. Iran fires back. Iran's response was massive, and that's not an exaggeration. Over the following days, Tehran launched approximately 550 ballistic missiles and around 1,000 armed drones at Israeli territory. Cities from Tel Aviv to Haifa went into a state of near-constant alert. Families spent days in bomb shelters. An Iranian missile struck the Kiryat district of central Tel Aviv, home to IDF headquarters, though major damage was avoided. Residential buildings were hit in multiple cities. 28 people in Israel were killed. But here's where the numbers tell a story. Israel's multi-layered air defense system, Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow 2, and Arrow 3, intercepted roughly 90% of everything Iran fired. The United States deployed 5 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers in the eastern Mediterranean, adding their own interceptors to the shield. France also scrambled Rafale jets to intercept Iranian drones in the region. Out of over 1,500 incoming weapons, only a fraction got through. And Iran's 1,000 drones? The vast majority never even reached Israeli borders. Iran's arsenal, which had been built up over years and was meant to overwhelm Israel's defenses through sheer volume, ran into a wall of precision interception technology that it simply couldn't defeat. Chapter 4: America enters the fight. On June 22nd, 9 days into the war, the United States made its move. American B-2 stealth bombers and other assets struck 3 of Iran's most fortified nuclear sites, Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan, using heavy bunker buster munitions specifically designed to penetrate underground facilities. These were sites that Israel's own arsenal reportedly could not fully destroy alone. Chapter 5: The Ceasefire, and who claimed victory. On June 24th, President Trump announced a ceasefire agreement. The terms were simple. Iran would halt all hostilities first for 12 hours, followed by a mutual halt for another 12 hours. If both sides held, the conflict would officially end. Within 2 hours of the ceasefire announcement, Iran fired 2 more ballistic missiles at Israel. Both were intercepted. Israel responded by destroying an Iranian radar north of Tehran. And then, the guns went quiet. Both sides immediately claimed victory. Chapter 6: What the war actually proved. Strip away the propaganda from both sides, and the 12-day war revealed something genuinely significant about modern warfare and geopolitics. It proved Israel's military reach is extraordinary. The ability to fly hundreds of jets over 1,000 miles. Chapter 7: The World After the War. The 12-day war didn't end the Iran-Israel conflict. If anything, it escalated it. In the months that followed, Iran intensified efforts to rebuild its missile forces and air defense networks. The United States imposed additional waves of sanctions. Israel continued striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Which part of this conflict surprised you the most? Israel's air operation, Iran's missile response, or the way both sides claimed victory? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this valuable, make sure you hit like and subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into the events reshaping the world.